Hey, it's Catherine from Weight Loss for Goddesses. This is Zoom call for week number 2, and Zoom is just so cool. So it's recording now. Yeah, so I just wanted to check in. I heard from a couple of you that you weren't going to be able to make it. I know folks have work, and yeah, so I'm just going to chat. This is just going to be, I've gotten some emails from people. This plant is in my way. I was trying to let you see these beautiful peonies and let me smell them, but don't want to hit that plant the whole time. So yay, so nice to have you. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a great day. And I wanted to check in. There's 2 things. So we're following up on this week of the self-love kind of intensive week that we had. And we are moving forward into the Whole30, which starts on Monday, which is super exciting. I hope you are very excited because it's going to be good. So so those are the 2 things I wanted to talk about today. I'll address some of the questions I've gotten by email, and if anyone joins us during the call, that's great too. So first of all, just to go over the handout, which I know I did already some, but I just heard from some people that they were having, that the mirror exercise brings up a lot for people, but that when they do it, it does kind of shift things. And I know most of you have your packages on the way, so you should have a couple little things that help with that. That's all I'll say, because I want it to be kind of fun when you open it. So, so just continue with the self-love, and just know that it is very powerful in just transforming your day-to-day life and how you move in the world and how you deal with, I've been talking a lot about failure on the Facebook group and just in emails, just about that idea of failure, and instead looking up at it as another opportunity to learn, another opportunity to get great data on why you do what you do, and people will, part of what's so great about the Whole30 is because it's so intensive, you're doing all these changes, and then you can get all this data on how you respond to these changes. It is very curious. And even though I've done it so many times, I'm still like, wow, this is really interesting. I'm starting on Monday. What does that bring up for me? Because I eat probably usually 85 to 90% Whole30, maybe 90 to 95%, but just what does it mean that I'm going to be eating strictly? What does that bring up for me? What am I worried about missing out on? What is it that it triggers? So that's what you're going to be doing, is you're going to be using the tapping, which we've gone through a few times, to kind of process those things, and then using the self-love so that you can be curious and interested and compassionate with yourself because sometimes I am surprised by the things that come up are the same things I've processed before, but that's okay. There's many layers. We've had many years before we're at this place where we're going to change things. So it's fine. It just, things come up again. You can just tap on it. You can be compassionate. You can just, even though I continue to struggle with wanting to eat ice cream every single night, and I've processed it in so many different ways, that's okay. I'm just going to look at it this time. What is it that's coming up this time? So as far as the self-love challenge, so I want to encourage you to keep going with the homework you've been doing. And for those of you who are interested and involved but can't commit as much as you want, can't show up at the calls, but I know you're, whatever you can do is great. So definitely don't use this as a way to beat yourself up, missing the call or maybe not being able to do the homework every day. Be compassionate with yourself. But if you have the opportunity, do it as much as you can. Because what's so interesting to me is that we can create so much resistance and challenge around, like, I want to lose weight. I want things to be different. Why can't I lose weight? And then instead of doing those things that can shift it, we just stay in that energy because that one's easier. We're used to it. It's a loop that we're used to. And that sometimes to get out of that loop is so much easier than you would think it would be, but that it requires a kind of hop out where you say, like, okay, this is weird. This lady is having me stare in the mirror and say, I love you, to myself, which is, can be considered weird, but just try it. So if you haven't yet, try it. If you're doing it, keep doing it, because it really does make a difference that can shift everything that you want to shift. So Keep it going. Woohoo with the self-love challenge. So the exercises, I didn't want to give you a ton of homework, but I think each of those exercises has a lot of really great qualities. So, and are really important and have some overlap, but each is important on their own. I will also be adding in the next couple of weeks, self-love meditation, the metta, loving kindness meditation, which is a form of Buddhist meditation that helps cultivate self-love. But I didn't want to give you too much in 1 week because there's so much awesome self-love stuff we can do. So, so keep doing the mirror exercise and keep those Post-its up, wherever you put them in your life. Again, I recommend mirror in the bathroom, maybe on your altar or meditation space if you have something like that, on the fridge, in the car, even like in your wallet or something you open, like if you have a case on your iPad or something, just to put it, it's just these little reminders that reinforce the mirror exercise, because you're like, oh, right, I did that. And the mirror exercise kind of shifts something internally, and the Post-its helps reinforce that. So keep doing that. Again, the self-love 2 minutes a day, extra credit if you're naked. And then you can process kind of what comes up for you, which each time you do it, each week you do it, it can be different. So just to kind of, be curious with that. And then the negative self-talk, some of you have emailed, what your negative self-talk is, and a lot of it is, it can be, it's things you heard when you were a kid. It's things like, you idiot, you fucking idiot. Someone shared that, why can't you do anything? Someone else shared, just that little loop that comes up. That's so nasty, that if you find it and hear it, it's a great thing. It's like grabbing this nasty parasite and then getting to tap on it is a way to crush the parasite. And again, the whole mindset shift of your body being a she, which is really fun and different, and that whole idea of how can you, trying to think of it's a sacred contract you have with this body, and that you are so lucky to have this body and to be breathing and to be able to move, and what can you do to care for this incredible gift? And the way, if you think of how you would care for your pet and how you would never skip feeding it, and you wouldn't run out of food for it, and you would make sure it had fresh water, just all those things, just to kind of shift that over to yourself. So, and I know someone in their email said they felt like they were someone felt like a tiger, and then, said sometimes they feel like an elephant, but we kind of talked about even elephants are so wise and so have so much beauty and so much power, which can be another nice thing about, in our culture, we have so much shame and media about, bigger bodies not being big, but, in the animal world, a giraffe might be beautiful, and so might a cute, plump little mouse, and so might a huge elephant. So just to kind of play with that as a way to honor your body and to care for your body in a different way. So again, I'd love to hear when you watch this, or if you want to give me feedback, just to email to see what animal you felt like and how that's kind of shifted things for you. And then the pleasure journal is the other thing, which I was just sitting, my daughter played hooky today, so that was fun. We stayed home together and we watched one of our favorite movies, and as we were watching the movies, the wind wafted in and the smell of roses was on it. Excuse me, and I was drinking a kombucha, so I keep burping. And I just thought, like, oh my gosh, this is so pleasurable. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And I just let myself feel it, because I thought, oh, I can write that down later. I can tell. So it really made me acknowledge it, appreciate it, and then want to cultivate more. And then I walked in and I was like, oh, and the peonies are blooming. So just keep using the pleasure journal. Writing it down by the side of your bed really does concretize it more. It really does make it more real. Again, if you're super busy, sometimes I just think of them before I go to bed, or just in the day, I'll be like, here's one. Oh my God, this is delicious. Even though, yesterday I was at work, it was really busy. The bells were ringing. I was training someone who talked a lot, and it was just really hard to focus. And so somebody brought in peonies from their garden. So I just kept stopping and smelling those and just taking a moment to be present in my body and to know, I wasn't going to be there forever, and that I could be present now, and that, I would be smelling my own peonies soon, which soothed me. So I think that's pretty much all I want to say about the self-love homework you had, and the self-love, really the challenge of cultivating that. And like muscle and cardio, and working your body, it does take practice to make it shift. But I would say, unlike those things, the shift can be much faster. And the time and focus needed can be quite small for quite a great payout. So that's also kind of a fun thing. We're going to start talking about moving our bodies in the next couple of weeks. But for now, just to think of this self-love, like 2 minutes a day in the mirror can shift your whole day. So let's take advantage of that. Hooray. And then what I wanted to say about the Whole30. I did have some questions just about what'll I eat? What'll I do? How will I prepare? And I love the Whole30 because it's this very scientific, proven, New York bestseller, kind of solid way to eat that has been proven by many people. And its main focus isn't weight loss, which is one of the wonderful things about it. It's really about feeling better, knowing what makes you feel good, taking control of your food over cravings. So that's why we choose that one. And then also it triggers a lot of responses, because it's like, wait a minute, I can't give up my such and such for a month. Wait, what'll I do? I don't know how. It triggers all of those responses. And because now we have the tools of the tapping and the self-love, you can say, like, it's all right, you got this. What can I do? What am I worried about at this moment? Let me tap on, why am I so totally freaked out about not being able to have my ice cream every night before bed? What does that do for me? What do I, and some people say, because this came out for someone, and, she said it's the best part of her day. It's what she looks forward to all day. So of course you would be anguished. You'd feel anguished about giving that up. Of course, you just imagine the next 30 days is this desert of misery, which is why we're trying to cultivate pleasure and self-love in other ways. Because when I ask people, what brings them the most pleasure, it usually is food. And it usually is a high, like a high pleasure, high fat, high sweetness, high intensity food that isn't really something that nourishes us. It usually is something that kind of creates that loop. Like I know, at work, people were all eating brownies, and it was that loop of like, oh, if I do this, I'll get pleasure. And then there wasn't enough. So they did it again to get pleasure. You do it for this certain kind of dopamine hit. And sometimes you keep eating, waiting for that. And then when you don't get, they all felt sick after, and I wasn't smug, believe me. I didn't say anything, but they were like, oh, I feel so gross. And I thought it's so interesting to see the loop when you're not in it, to see that cycle. So by doing the Whole30 and stopping eating those foods, and she even has like a clause in it where you can't eat fake foods. So you can't say like, oh, I'm going to make pancakes today with bananas and coconut flour. Not because that's bad for you, but because during the Whole30, if you do that, then you want butter and syrup. And if you can't have that, then these seem substandard. It seems fake. And the whole point is you're not trying to trick your body and make you think you're eating your old foods, but making them healthy, quotes. It's actually that you're changing how you eat. And you're changing how you eat for 30 days. So if the panic comes up, like it's only 30 days, it's only 4 weekends. It's 4 weekends. I remember the first time that helped me. In 4 weekends, I can do whatever I want, just to make a commitment, focus on the fact that it's finite, and focus on the fact that every time you feel that panic, instead of being like, oh, I can't do this, to think instead like, oh, it's so interesting. What is this? What's coming up? And if you're feeling really overwhelmed, or please let me know if you have any questions or anything, because this is a really pivotal part in the Weight Loss Accelerator program, because this is the, we're launching off into the habits that are going to be shifting, and you have the tools to do it, but it can be daunting. So please connect if you need some help. So I was just going to talk, people were wondering what I ate. So, and there's so many choices, but just some common questions that come up. One is, what do we eat for breakfast? Because a lot of people eat toast and bagels and things in their everyday life. So you can have eggs. You can have what I usually do, because I'm super busy, is I make a frittata, which is like a quiche without the milk or the cheese. So you do lots of eggs, some spices, so maybe like 8 eggs, some spices. I usually do Italian seasoning, salt and pepper, and then any veggies you got and any meat you've got. So I'll do like bacon, broccoli, egg frittata. Put it in a pie pan or in a baking dish. Cook it at 350 until it looks like it's set, and you cut it up into little pieces, put it in a Tupperware in little stacks, and you have breakfast. So it's so great when you're running out the door to have it. I should eat more mindfully and take more time, but because things often get busy, I do end up eating in the car. That's something I should work on, but you can totally eat the frittata in the car. It's great. Or you can make it more elegant with your fork, the candle, if you want, whatever you want. So that's one thing for breakfast. The other thing that I do is I get some sausage that doesn't have sugar. If that's hard to find around you can make your own just with some pork and seasonings. Delicious. So I get some sausage, either chicken or pork, whatever they have that doesn't have nasty stuff in it, because sausage often has MSG, which is gross, and sugar and potassium sorbate. So get the one without that stuff. And then I put that in a skillet, fry that, add sweet potatoes, kind of steam/fry, cut up 1 sweet potato, sometimes 2 if I'm going to be eating a lot, peppers, onions, till they're all cooked. Sometimes I put a lid on it just to kind of speed things up. And then once that's all done, I just transfer that to a Tupperware. And so in the morning, I'll get up, just grab a handful of that, put it on a plate, microwave it while I cook an egg. You can either scramble it or fry an egg, put that on top. And then if I have avocado, I buy usually 3 or 4 avocado a week. And then as they ripen, I eat them. And then I do half an avocado. So good, people. I tell you, it's so good. And clients who've done that have really loved that one, because there's some flexibility. You can maybe two eggs someday. You can add other things to it, but it just gives you, and then kale. If I haven't had kale the last couple of weeks, but if you add a little kale to that skillet, you've got the sweet potato, you've got peppers, onions, and then you've got the kale. Oh my gosh, so good for you. So much of your vitamins, minerals, protein, everything is in there. So that is the breakfast that I recommend, especially that first week, so it's kind of set ahead of you, because another thing with the Whole30 is you eat pretty quickly after you get up. You don't wait, just because you're restructuring your metabolism in such a way as that you need to eat. So, and that's amazing to watch that transformation happen. So that's breakfast. Lunch, I usually do either a soup I've made. In the cookbooks, there's plenty of beautiful soups with coconut milk or with chicken, lots of delicious things. I usually do a soup, or I do a salad with some grilled chicken, grilled steak, or like leftover pulled pork. So usually for my shopping list for the week, I go once a week on Sunday or Monday, and then I plan out the whole meals for the week, and then I cook. And it's kind of, I'm not a huge fan of cooking. It's not my favorite thing, but I just keep thinking, oh my gosh, if I do this now, I won't have to worry about it later for so long, for days. So I'll make a salad, cut up the veggies, and then I will grill chicken, maybe grill a steak, or in my crock pot, I'll do a pulled pork. There's lots of really great Whole30 pulled pork recipes. And then you have it to put on, I can make like a little lettuce wrap with lettuce, and then some delicious salsa. I pickled radishes last week. So good to wrap it up, eat that. Or I just put it on top of a salad. So that's great. And then for me too, I found before I've done this, and this has worked for quite a few of my clients, just having the food in the fridge is really like almost half the battle. Because what happens usually if you're not paying attention to what you eat is you get hungry. You don't even want like chips, nachos, but that's all you have, or you don't even want a peanut butter sandwich or something, but all you have in the pantry is bread and peanut butter. So so it's not that you're dying to eat these foods that aren't that great for you. It's just that you haven't created any other options. So this is great because it forces you, maybe I'll say compels, because force doesn't sound that nice. It compels you to be prepared. And then for dinner, I have usually, I do meatballs, and that's another thing. You should always have an emergency food. So if everyone else is eating cereal or toast, you have something you can grab. So I always have nuts. I get nuts from Trader Joe's, just those packs, the ones without the chocolate chips. And then I get, when I make meatballs, I make a double batch and I freeze half, because those are something, if I come home, if everything ran late and we have no food, I can always heat up some meatballs and use some red sauce that doesn't have sugar, and I can have that on a salad or with zucchini noodles or something like that. So I do meatballs. Like I said, I do the pulled pork. We do fish, steak. Pretty much, you don't have to eat meat at every meal, but I find the protein really helps keep my energy going. So lots of veggies and then some kind of protein. In the Whole30, you can't do the soy, so there's no tofu or tempeh or anything like that. So you're eating meats and veggie. And then if I have family to cook for that, my husband and kids still want some kind of starch, I'll cook them rice, I'll cook them noodles. So I'll be able to integrate my Whole30 aspect of the meal with their less Whole30 aspect of the meal. So it's a way you can kind of all eat together, but they don't necessarily have to cut out everything I did, even though I think they should. They don't listen to me, I don't want to, and I don't want to push it. So that is what I eat for dinner. Snacks, you can always have blueberries, fruit. Oh, and the RX bars. Let me just grab the 2 kinds of bars. I can't find, I must have eaten my last layer of bar. But this is the RX bar. RX. You can get it online. I know on Amazon. You can get it. I got these at Market Basket. I don't know what folks have around them, but these are a great, they're a meal replacement. They don't want you to use it as a meal because it's not, it's a bar. It's not that great. And it has a ton of, calories and things in it, just because the idea is it's a high energy snack / meal. But I do find, like, if I'm at work and I cannot get a break and the only thing to eat are gross cookies that someone brought. Not that all cookies are gross, but I'm thinking of the other day, there were some in there, they're like, who would even eat these? Like gross blue frosting, sprinkles, 3 days old, cookies that everyone's eating because they can't get down to the cafeteria to get food or can't get to the locker room to get their lunch because things are crazy. I have one of these. I always make sure to have one of these handy because, again, lack of preparation is often the reason I don't eat well, often the reason that many of my clients and just many people don't eat well. So if you have, always make sure to have one of these in the car, one of these in your bag, one of these in your locker. Just, have at least 1 bar, so it's not like, oh, well, I can't starve to death, so you just give up when you hit a roadblock. So it's a great safety mechanism is to have these bars around. What else did I want to talk about? Let me see what other questions people. Where is my list? But I hope people are doing well, and I might have some days where I can't do the Friday at 11, so maybe we could do an afternoon one, and maybe folks would be able to come who haven't been able to make it to the noon call. So I'll check and see about that. I remembered the other thing. The other thing is the idea of doing some ritual around beginning the Whole30. So whatever that is for you that you do before you start something new and exciting. So it might be like clean your house out. I mean, I don't necessarily mean a ritual with candles and incense. You can do that if you want. That is also fine. But I just mean those little things we do, and some, like many people, before they go and don't eat things for 30 days, will try and eat them all, which is not the best idea because it makes coming off of them harder. And it makes, you gain a pound or 2 before you start the prep. Like, just, it is foolish, but it is also human nature. So most people do something like that. So I have found, because I am human, I am starting Whole30 with, we all are, on Monday. So I'm like, I have to fit in a glass of wine before that starts. Even though my wines give me like this weird migraine and it's not the best thing, like, just that I know I'm going to be part of the way I can be super strict in these 30 days and really utilize the program and figure out what it is that works best for me and notice how I feel as if I really don't eat those things. Being chocolate and red wine for me probably would be the things that call to me. So I'm having a little bit of that now to be like, farewell, I will miss you. I may see you again in a month. I may not, because by the time a month comes around, I won't really want it because the cravings will be gone. But so one can do something like that, although I'm not recommending it. I'm saying if you're drawn to doing that, that is fine. That is human nature. And if that helps you kind of propel yourself through that first week next week, that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't, get a pizza from Pizza Hut for lunch and then eat a McDonald's for dinner, whatever, whatever it is for you to kind of almost have those foods, kind of honor them, see how you feel, and then say goodbye for a while. Also, you can, I know I mailed to you guys, I don't know if you all got it yet, the pieces of paper that you staple together, and then you staple the next one together and you make a chain, a paper chain. And people find that nice because it gives you a physical, external manifestation of what you're doing. You can see, so for each day you get through, so at whatever time, 8 o'clock at night, like I did it again, put another ring on so you can kind of see it growing and you want to get to the end of it. It's these funny little tricks that help. And I sent an essential oil along with your paper chain. And that's nice handmade paper that would absorb the essential oil. So depending on our conversation, I sent a different oil. So you just take that oil and you drop it on the paper. It will absorb it. It will smell good. And it will be this kind of symbolic ritual aspect of doing this program, this transformation. And remembering it's not just about making your life more challenging or annoying. It actually has a goal. And this is this kind of physical congratulations as you move along in your goal. Another big truck going by. I probably will, we're going to talk more about journaling in the future, but I probably will do some journaling about what I'm hoping to get about it. And I would recommend you doing some of that too, if that's something you do, if that works for you. I'm just thinking of other ritual things. Kind of clearing up the house and clearing out the kitchen and getting some fresh flowers and just having it be feel like a restart. Letting people know I'm going to be doing this. This is what the next 30 days is going to be like. If you have any invites or social gatherings that you're going to kind of prepare those people or prepare yourself for how you can adjust that to stay on the whole 30. Just these things that acknowledge and I want to say respect, but just take on the gravity of what you will be doing and the fact that it is a challenge and what can you do to make it easier. So I also write a grocery list out for that first week, and I write a meal planning list out, which there's so much online. I was thinking I could do that, but there is so much online, so many amazing resources, and it depends on how you eat. Some people eat a lot of fish, some people love sweet potatoes, some people don't. So go through the different food list on the shopping list. You don't have to print that out or use that, but it just reminds you all the food you can eat. Because sometimes if you're looking at the rules, it says what you cannot eat. It can be like, that's a lot of stuff. But then if you look at what you can eat, it's a lot more, So look at the food you can eat, kind of brainstorm some recipe ideas. And if you're on the Facebook group, maybe I'll post some recipe ideas there or see if people can post their favorite Whole30 recipe just to give some ideas. And Pinterest is full of delicious, wonderful things. And like I've mentioned a few times, if you're on Instagram, the Whole30 recipes, that's really what I use most. Partly because I'm usually running around and don't have a ton of time. So I'll just scroll through that. And if there's, people do a recipe a day and I look once a week, twice a week. So I'll look and be like, I can pick the ones I like. And if there's one I love, I scroll back and find that one and take a picture. So that's been a great way. It's almost like a constantly evolving, updating, seasonal recipe cookbook. How great is that? And then if you like the person who posted those recipes, you just follow them on Instagram, and then you have another healthy food person coming up in your feed, which is another ritual you might do, is to unfollow all those gooey chocolate pasta mac and cheese recipe things that might come up for you. I have a few friends who that's all they post. So you might want to just block those for a bit, or just, I like just to have the healthy recipes counter those, because it starts to make those look normal. And those look like, oh, right, people are eating this way. This is how a lot of people eat, and they really rave about it, so it must be worth it. Whereas the people who are sending me the mac and cheese recipes, whenever I see them complain about not being able to lose weight and feeling sick. Not to trash talk them or their food choices, but just there does seem to be what you immerse yourself in does affect the choices you make and how you feel. Exciting. I have a feeling that might be it. I would say have fun with it. You know, be excited. You're launching off into this new, very exciting opportunity, really, to change your life and to, you know, it's like going on a camping trip or something. The first couple of days, you're like, you gotta be kidding. Wait, this is it? This is what I'm supposed to eat? You know, there is resistance, and there is, I know that I have had headaches when I start. Some people just feel kind of under the weather. Some people don't feel great those first few days. So to remember you're going to feel great and to keep going. And that one of the marvelous things about Whole30 is they call it the tiger blood. I've mentioned this before, but it's like around week 3. Once you've gotten rid of all of those cravings and all those residual feelings from those foods that you eat that might not necessarily be the most healthful, you start to feel amazing. You start to get energy that you haven't had before. Let me just tell my doctor to be quiet. Cookie, it's all right. I actually equate it with when I used to love the Thai iced tea, which is like incredibly sweet, delicious, strong tea with sweetened condensed milk, I think. So sweet. It's like thick. It's like melted ice cream, super caffeinated. And when I would drink it, I would feel so good. You know, as I drink it, it would be like, oh my God, this is so good. And then like for me, because caffeine and sugar aren't great for me, I would feel like absolute hell. And I'd feel so bad, but the good feeling was so intense that I would forget the bad feeling, or I would ignore it when I ordered it and drank it. There's a point to this. So what was so crazy is my first Whole30, like 3 weeks in, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I just had a Thai iced tea, but I didn't. I feel that level of energy, excitement, being satiated, having just kind of that thrill of feeling so good without having eaten something that would then make me feel like crap. So, and I remember saying it to people like, I feel like I just drank a Thai iced tea, and they didn't know all of that. So they'd be like, why are you saying that? But for me, that's what you're going for. So just to keep faith, and we'll talk as we go through this, but the goal of this whole experience is to feel amazing, lose weight, be freed of your food addiction so you're not thinking about food all the time, and use all that energy that gets cleared up when you're not thinking about food all the time or berating yourself for weighing the way you do or for not living the life that you want to be living. All that energy gets freed up, and it is a shitload of energy. It is so much of your energy is getting spent on that. So when you release that, you have all this energy to do what you want to do. So that's the transformation that we're looking for. The weight loss will happen, the feeling good will happen, and then just this reservoir of energy that opens up to you so that suddenly you are unstoppable. So it's very exciting. Can't wait to get started. Can't wait to hear any questions you have, any worries, anything, just email me. If you're on the Facebook group, you can post them and I'll respond, or you can even text me. My number is on any email I send, and we can chat because it's coming soon. It's Friday, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Woo! But yes, I can't wait. I hope you are having a great week. Please let me know any questions. And I'm sending you lots of love and Reiki. And I'm sending you Reiki to buoy you as you step forward into this new adventure. And I look forward to going through it with you. All right. Lots of love to you guys. And I will see you next week. And I will send out, you probably got my email that the handout came early this week for week 3, because I wanted you to have that workbook to kind of work through some things as you prep for the Whole30. But I will do follow up and check in with you on Monday as well. All right, can't wait. Hope you're great, and hope I hear from you. Let me know if you have any questions. Lots of love. Mwah. Bye. I have to exit because my dog is going to freak out because someone just pulled in. All right, bye guys.